Hey, what's up? Dust the Viking here, and I've got the new Castle Kandar update patch notes. I've been playing this for the last 2 days, and I have a pretty good feel for this patch and the impact it's had on the game. The too long didn't read, though, is that the devs have addressed every major issue, every major known bug, and all the known exploits have all been fixed up, as well as a lot of balance changes, like sweeping balance changes, and of course some new items, new cosmetics in the new castle. The new castle is way better than I expected. The way everything looked in the movie, they captured all of it, and it looks just like the movie, except that it looks like a real giant fleshed out castle that has some interesting gameplay to it as well. The castle has no windows, so it's actually really dangerous. It's kind of a death trap for survivors, but it also has a lot of loot. So they have created this like high risk, high reward zone, and it makes for different, like much different gameplay experience than the other maps, which is good because it's bringing more than just visual eye candy. It's actually bringing some gameplay to it, so I really like that. I like the new weapons. They're fun. The mace, as far as we can tell, is a hybrid one-handed, two-handed. When you do light attacks, it appears to be one-handed. When you do heavies, it looks to be two-handed. That, or we're misunderstanding the animations, we're not sure. And then explosive crossbow is self-explanatory, right? A mode where you can explore the map without having to play with players, which is kind of cool. Also, the too long didn't read on this is it shows, I think, that the devs are working very hard. They're very plugged into the game. They seem to be still taking in a lot of player feedback and working very hard to get out these gigantic, game-changing patches. So I think it's a good sign, and the type of some of this content that they rolled out, like new Screamer images, shows that they have a lot of content planned. I think the devs have shown very strongly that they would love to run with this game for years. But now, to get more into the actual like nuts and bolts of it, here we've got some optimization stuff, quality of life, some bug fixes, performance stuff, making sure Ed Getley, can work with all crossbows, sweeping balance changes for every survivor weapon that is above common. None of the commons were touched. These were all like rare, legendary, and epic, and those were all nerfed to bring them a little bit closer to the common baseline weapon, so that RNG is less of a factor, which I think is a healthy direction to take the game. And I will tell you that I've been winning on Demon and Survivor both, so both are definitely very winnable. All right, continuing on, Chainsaw got Dismember buffs. Because, yeah, it's the most iconic melee weapon in the franchise. And it was used almost exclusively for dismemberment, so yes. A support range buff, this is huge for the usability of supports. Supports and pre-mades got to optimize and use their heals very easily because their teammates would, at the drop of a hat, respond. Supports working with randoms don't have that luxury, and often it was a struggle to properly utilize this kit, which resorts in power gapping between pre-mades and non-pre-mades. So this was one I was actually really advocating for and really happy to see. Possession unit damage. Puppeteer just got some buffs, mainly to Berserker. That's where the biggest buff here is. And this is very prevalent. Berserkers are just insane right now. I'm seeing demons just wipe teams with just a couple of possessed berserkers. It's really crazy. But Puppeteer was the weakest demon in the game. But I think they, after playing it a bit, I think maybe they overbuffed Puppeteer a little bit. We've had cases where I've seen Puppeteers catch people early, like right off the bat. The Puppeteer's still like level 4, but they get a Berserker Deadite, press Q for the possess, and then just immediately start wiping teams because they attack so fast and there's so much stagger. You can't even hit the unit back. You can't get away from it. It's just, you just die, and now you die even faster and with less of a window to escape, and it happens at the start of the match. And the way that it works is that Puppeteer can farm up so much energy while attacking you and hitting you that even after you die, they can just instantly possess somebody else and then somebody else. And it's just an endless, even as early as I'd say level 2, they could just trounce a team. So that one might be a little bit too far, because the scenario shouldn't be that if the demon gets lucky and finds you in the first 60 seconds, they automatically win the match. But, they can only do so much in one patch, and they did a ton in this patch. So this patch is going in the right direction, and it is trying to address all this stuff, and they're big changes, and we're going to get to even more big changes right here in just a second. So the patch is not bad. It is a great patch. It's just very clear that there's still more work to do and more things to refine. But, you know, given what we've seen in this patch, I think Saber's up to the task. You know, it's just our focus now is like, is the game more fun to play? Yeah, mainly because they got rid of a lot of the exploits, right? So I've been having fun with the game again, and I'm back to making content on it. So yeah, fantastic patch, and it's all going in a good direction. All right, so here's some of the big ones right here. These are nerfs to possession spam. The base cost for Warlord to possess a basic unit went from 20 up to 60. You're going to cost you 60 infernal energy to possess now, and the maintenance cost was almost tripled from 0.15 to 0.4. And you see similar things across the board. Even Puppeteer nerfed from 40 to 60. Of course, Puppeteer's Q lets them possess for free, so you know that's kind of an exception there a little bit. But this is, I feel like, a strong nerf to possession spam. The problem is that it doesn't really seem to curb it. But, you know, these are heavy nerfs to possession spam, and I think it's, again, it's a move in the right direction. This is a good patch. I think the only demons that are struggling are demons who don't have skill points yet, so they don't have their full kit available, you know, and that's understandable. But also demons who aren't playing the game correctly because they've been watching content creators who claim to be really good at the game, but they're actually really effing bad. And I'm going to call that out really quick right now. There are a lot of content creators who win a lot, but they use nothing but exploits to achieve those wins. And as a result of them crutching on exploits, they've never learned the game. And you're hearing a lot of excuses, like with the Warlord's Pukes exploit. They're like, oh, you have to do the exploit or the Puke's useless. It's not. You know, a lot of higher skilled demons, myself included, have been using Puke effectively without exploiting it since launch. You know, one of my earliest Henrietta guides talked about how powerful Puke was, and I certainly didn't exploit in that video guide. So this is just an example of people using a crutch and a cheat to win. And then as a result, not learning the game, which I'll quote myself from another video. This is like killers in Dead by Daylight that use NOED as a primary means to win. It's a crutch, and as a result, they don't get better at the game. And that's what's happening in Evil Dead. But it's way worse than NOED because these are exploits and cheats, and they're way more abusive. And so what you have are a lot of trash noobs, in my opinion, that are racking up wins and then claiming to be knowledgeable and spreading misinformation about how to play Demon and setting a lot of other Demon players up to lose. If you're a Demon player, there's two things you need to do. You need to figure out what your win condition is, at what stage you want to try and win, and then two, you need to realize everything you do up until that point is just prep work. If you do happen to win, or, you know, more importantly, the survivors just throw the game and make it easy to kill them before that, cool, all the better. But if it is a tough group of survivors, you know, don't get obsessed with trying to kill them, because you're just doing prep work for your win condition, which is often going to be Dark Ones or the Necronomicon. And everything before that is literally just prep work and leveling up. So don't get too hung up on thinking that, oh, if you're struggling to kill the survivors or finish them off, you're losing and the survivors are too OP. It's actually not the case. So just something for you to, for you all Demon players to keep in mind. All right, so possession costs here when you're at an event. This is making it easier for Puppeteer to spam possession at, you know, daggers, necro, and stuff like that. This makes perfect sense, because this is what Puppeteer is. Puppeteer, if they are going to spam possession, this is really where they should spam possession. It's just the only problem is that Puppeteer seems to be able to do this off events as well. But Warlord cost from 30 to 50, you know, elite nerf here. And even Puppeteer, though, does get a nerf to their elites when possessing them at an event. So Berserker is definitely meant to be like their meat and potatoes, 100%. Possession unit balance. This is where the balance bars were just nerfed across the board. This is to make it easier to peel possessed units. No worries here. This is all still good and healthy stuff. Demon upgrade possession. Basically, if you're Warlord and Necromancer, you can't even start leveling up the possession till level 6. Now, you can still possess. You just can't level up the possession. And with the way possession was nerfed here, that means your early game possessions are very expensive. So you're only probably, or I feel like that means they get one and then they're kind of done for a bit. But again, I'm seeing kind of like multi-possessing anyway. And it's easy to see how they do this. You get a little bit of infernal energy going. You go in, you do your possession, attack the survivor, get kicked out, do a demonic dash to get your energy back, repossess, go at him again. You can kind of see how it's possible, right? So possession is way overperforming, I think, right now. Now, here's one that's kind of confusing about how those possession points work. So once you finally start putting points into possession and leveling it up, possession does get a lot cheaper, which as you level up starts rolling back these nerfs. And the idea is that they want possession spam to be powerful, but they want it to happen more like mid-game, late-game. But they just need to keep turning the dial. They'll get there. Boss upgrades, basically bosses are getting buffed if you just, go all the way to level 4 or 5. I think this is to give some validity to certain boss builds. And to give alternate setups to just possession spam, right? Like they want other viable choices here, so boss buff makes sense in my mind. Demon Vision, this is weird. As far as I can tell, it's completely inconsequential. Skill changes, Puppet Master, and this is some tweaks to some of the skills. This is where a big Puppeteer buff is. Basically, when they catch you early and they possess that Berserker, they just get to farm up infernal energy while possessed by hitting the survivor. So it's possess with Q, farm up, you're gaining more energy than you're losing, so you're staying maxed out on energy. They eventually kill your unit. Now you have enough infernal energy to pop out the portal, do the new possession, manually this time, but then farm energy back up, get out, do a demonic dash to get your energy back, summon another portal, do another possession. It's basically like endless possession, and again, they're going to have to figure something out. Early game's way too powerful for Puppeteer. And then just some fixes here for like bugs and buffs, things like Thunder Thrust and durations on Lord Arthur's stuff. This is all good stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.